Hey guys, this is Thomas over here at NurseMoneyTalk.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about 6 ways you can make more money as a nurse in 2022. But before I get to that though, I want to go ahead and invite you, if you're not already subscribed, to go ahead and hit that subscribe button on this channel. Talk about all things related to nursing students, nursing, and just overall nurse life. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about how you can make more money as a nurse, because 2021 was an interesting year. Actually, the year before that and last couple years have been interesting years, but that's neither here nor there. And the thing about with the way 2022 is starting out is, like, I'm still hearing a lot of kind of what's been going on kind of trickling in even to 2022, which is a lot of nursing shortages and high demand for nursing staff. And I think if you're really looking for a way to make more money, I think there are ways you can actually use that to your advantage. And the first one would be, and this one is going to seem really obvious, but hear me out as I finish up, and that's going to be looking at picking up extra shifts. And for most of you, that's probably going to be like the easiest thing to do. Now, when I'm looking at picking up extra shifts, one of the things you need to keep in mind is how your facility has been functioning. Has your facility, like, for example, been offering like bonuses for picking up extra shifts? I mean, they can call this a lot of different things: bonuses, critical shifts, premium pay. I mean, some might do like time and a half, whatever. Like, either way, like, the point is like an incentive pay for you to pick up extra shifts. And so if you know your facility's been doing that, then maybe look at being more aggressive in terms of how you pick up shifts. So for instance, I'll give you an example. When at the previous jobs I've worked at, now this was even all around, there were nursing staff who, like, if you wanted them to pick up extra shifts outside of their normal 40 hours, whatever minimum that they had to work, the first thing they would ask you is there a critical shift? Is there a critical bonus? And if you said no, they're gonna flat out tell you, okay, you can call me back when there's a critical shift or some kind of incentive pay. And that's pretty much what I'm getting at, is being more direct in terms of how you pick up these extra shifts. So just flat out asking. And I know that's going to be hard for some of y'all, especially if you're maybe a little timid or shy, or you're not as or maybe you avoid conflict, or you're going to see that as conflict. But honestly, I mean, you know, like the nurses that I know that have done that, and I've done that a time or two, like in the past. I don't have the opportunity to do that where I'm currently working at now, but I have done that a time or two in the past. And honestly, like, there are nurses who, like, they did that nonstop and they made a lot of money, just picking that up, because now on top of their on top of their overtime, now they're getting like that incentive pay as well. The next thing is asking for a pay increase. So we know that there's a high demand for nursing. So if there's a high demand for nursing where you are at, just ask them for more money. I mean, I've written some articles on this, and I got some pushback by some senior nurses on that, on the internet, saying, now they also gave me some pushback as well when I was writing about how you can negotiate your pay and everything else. And they were like, oh, no, we don't, that doesn't happen in nursing. Like, it's all based on years and experience and all that other stuff. And I mean, okay, some of that is partially true, but it's also a business. And that's what, I mean, if they want you bad enough, and if they're desperate enough, they're going to give you more money. They're going to give you more money when they're hiring you. That's just the nature of how business works. And I know as nursing, we like to not think of healthcare as a business, but the facility and the hospitals you work at, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, whatever, a tax whatever deal they're calling themselves at. They're looking at it as a business, and we as nurses need to look at it as a business as well. Obviously, there's a right and wrong way to asking for a raise or whatever. I wrote an article. I'll link to that below, and obviously you can do some searches as well for that. But I do think that's not a bad start. And if that doesn't pan out too well, then honestly, that might be a good opportunity for you to start looking for another job. And that's going to be my third one, because now that there's such a shortage of nurses, and a lot of these facilities are hurting for nursing staff. Many of them, they're going to be willing to, whether that be a bonus, or maybe you might get a little, you might be able to negotiate a slightly higher pay than what you're making. So maybe entertain that option. The thing with looking at other jobs is the opportunity. It is going to vary based on what area you're at. Even whenever you say nursing shortage, they say nursing shortage everywhere in the U.S. or whatever, and and that might be generalizing, but you're going to have pockets where maybe there's not as much of a shortage. So maybe you might have to go a little bit ways out, maybe even honestly to a different city, to be able to get a higher pay rate, or the higher rate that you're wanting. And honestly, when you're talking about going to a different city or going a little bit ways out there, let's look a little bit at probably one of the biggest ways just nursing just seems to just be killing it at the moment, and that is travel nursing. A buddy of mine a couple weeks ago actually sent me it was a flyer. I think it was a flyer or an ad or whatever that he saw, and it was advertising for travel nursing position. And this one, it was for, let me see, it was 60 hours. This one was for an ER position, 60 hours. It was a 13-week contract. It was $10,836 gross weekly. So about $126 an hour, $189 OT, and then $1,260 per diem. And then, there was some, a little bit of some stipulations or whatnot on that. At first I thought that was just, that was a little bit of a joke, kind of, until I found out, about a week ago, that there were some nurses, I think this was in the Dallas area, they're sort of in Texas, that are making about $140 an hour, and they were contract. And so I think that, if you're willing to, if your schedule allows it, travel nursing might be a good opportunity to really look at, in terms of making probably the biggest bang for your hours in 2022. Now, of course, I think a lot of this, a lot of those contracts, they're typically in very high demand inpatient areas. So I've seen a lot of especially ER, ICU, in terms of those aggressively high contract pay. But just about every nursing specialty has contracts, so there is an opportunity, if you do it right, for you to be able to make more money than you're currently making. The one other caveat I will throw with the travel nursing thing, because licensing, your nursing license is a state license, is check and see if you're one of the, I think, the 20 something states that are in the the licensing compact. And what that means is that you could apply, if your state is in that, you could apply to get a multi-state license in your state, which means that your license would be good in I think there's currently 20 something states, don't quote me on that, but I think there's currently 20 something states that are in that licensing compact. Now, the next one is it's not as immediate as some of these other options that I've given, but I do think it's one that will set you up for the long term, and especially since, like, a lot of these high demands for nursing, it kind of goes like up and down. There's kind of like an ebb and flow to it, and so this next one would be like, consider getting an advanced nursing degree. Now, like, if you've looked at some of the, like some of these videos that I've made in the past, like there was one that I made about, like, what's the highest paying like nursing positions. Like, a common thread that you will see in that is that pretty much your advanced nurses are essentially taking up pretty much the entire top 10. And so these are your advanced practice nurses. Typically you're going to have like your CRNA, your nurse anesthetist at the very top, and then like the rest of them are pretty much going to be, for the most part, like nurse practitioner, or like kind of like subspecialties, like like your psych NP, your critical care NP and whatnot. And so getting your advanced degree, so definitely check out NurseMoneyTalk.com/schools to look for nursing programs. I think that is probably one of the best ways you can, starting this year in 2022, especially if you've been thinking about going back to school, you can definitely then start setting yourself up for the long run to be able to make a better income. Now, the last thing I'm gonna mention, and I feel like I'm going to lose a lot of you in this, but I hope I don't, and this is not really, it's nursing related, but not really, and that's by looking at what your finances is actually doing personally. Whether that be like, maybe like start budgeting or something like that, but just really paying attention to it, because some of you that are watching this, you probably are making really, really good income, but you feel like you're not making enough of it because you just don't know where your money's actually going. So since it's the beginning of the new year, and maybe right now might be a good time to start setting those financial goals, and that's another way to set yourself up, not just for 2022, but in the long run, in terms of what your finances are actually, how you're managing your finances and making, every dollar kind of count a little bit more than maybe it's counting now. So you're going to see a video that will show up to my left that I'm hoping that you'll take a look at, that will just kind of guide you a little bit in terms of learning how to budget all that great nursing income that I'm sure you're probably making already. So definitely check that video out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon, hopefully in that next one.